My dreams are all dead and buried. Sometimes I wish the sun would just explode. When God comes and calls me to his kingdom, I'll take all your sons of bitches when I go. I think it's quite humorous that Bashar al-Assad was, like Joseph Broz Tito, the singular, load-bearing support beam holding the entire country together. It's also very ironic that Zionists absolutely despised him, despite never attacking Israel, just because he had enough defense that if he were to run any sort of major operation against Iran, he could potentially intervene. That's it. That's the entire extent of why they had to get rid of the protector of Christians in the Middle East. The entire extent. And for what? Their plan to be utterly cucked? You know, I wasn't really expecting much out of the Epstein files. That really wasn't all that relevant. It wasn't crossing my mind that much. Because I'm looking forward to the long term. And I know that Trump has recognized who stabbed him in the back during the first term, which is the same exact people pushing him to war with Iran in his second term. This is all very important, and if you remember, I actually called this pretty accurately. I was a little sweaty there at the very end, right before he actually made the call to go in, go out, literally 20 minutes, done. You know, I was like watching things unfold in the Gulf and being like, oh God! But then Qatar and the United States, Trump himself, showed great restraint. And he showed great restraint because unlike any other politician, 80% of Republicans and like 60% of Democrats would have 100% rushed headlong into a forever war with Iran. So, that's why I voted for him. That's not a fell for it again meme. I didn't fall for it the first time. I got what I wanted. Now, if you don't know, blackmail operations work by saying, you do this, do that, do the third, and you will never have to worry about these issues, these allegations, these crimes that we've cataloged, these things that we've recorded you doing with hidden microphones and video cameras. If everybody in that blackmail ring was obeying the people blackmailing them, regardless of whether it was the CIA or Mossad, and then all of a sudden Trump flips it over and goes, haha, I don't care, they would go nuclear on Trump. And I think he understands this, and he's trying to prevent further conflict and just letting these people die of old age and go to hell for all eternity, which at the end of the day, if you really know, if that's the case, and if you really know that that's going to be the issue, put it on a scale. If you're not the one who created the Epstein blackmail ring, that is honestly the most pragmatic and the most Christian way of going about it. It's the way that minimizes damage to innocence. Because going nuclear, pulling out of the stops, and creating like a third of the world's elite into a rogue state that will then just like forward any major plans and then wreck everything all at once is way more dangerous than slowly dismantling things piece by piece, whether you're scrapping it, whether you hate it. And, you know, at this point, I have not regretted voting for Trump. The one thing I don't like a lot is the fact that he hired Stephen Miller again. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he was like the deputy for Homan. I didn't know that. I thought he was just some jackass giving advice on Fox News, but no. Apparently the baby-stealing cuck is back at it again, stealing more children, doing horrible, horrible things to people, disappearing people forever, essentially, which is always something that our government has done. And to give people like that any sort of leeway and any sort of power is unfortunately the opposite of dismantling the oppressive establishment of the global, neoliberal global order. But it's neither neoliberal nor is it neoconservative, the current Trump movement. Nor is it conservative. That's why, like, as strange as it is, MAGA is a new political movement. And it doesn't necessarily 100% mean all Americans will be made greater by the MAGA movement, even though that's what it advertises. Neither do conservatives conserve. Neither do progressives progress. Neither do Democrats care about true democracy. Neither do Republicans care about, or half of the time even know what a republic actually is. So keep it in mind. You know, I'm not looking for absolute perfection. I'm looking to take baby steps over my life to make things better by the time that I die. And the environmentalism, or at least the hate of environment, the sheer, like, petty destruction that a lot of Jewish people actually have done throughout the entirety of, like, the history that you can study of just killing God's beautiful earth. David, kind of a carve-out, but Solomon going right back at it. Solomon especially literally destroyed the Middle East. You want to know what the Middle East, want to know what Israel looked like 3,000 years ago? It was green, it was flourishing, it was full of life. Plants and animals that we'll never see. And Solomon ruined it for clout. For temporary worldly goods. He was a demoniac, he worshipped demons. And he was possessed, and he was a good bedfellow of Satan. And that's that. Some people have been convinced with zero evidence that Muslims and Christians, for that matter, have been attacking Jews for millions of years. Yes, I know. I guarantee you that if they're ever allowed to deeply ingratiate themselves in Eastern society, which they won't, they will say this same exact victimhood sob story to twist the knife into the gullible population there, which that wouldn't work on Chinese society. Again, not after what Mao did to them with the Bolshevik backing. Did you know there was a guy who died in 2006 named Israel Epstein, a Polish Jew who was working for the CCP in China? Did you know that? I love how Mao is the greatest baby steps eliminator of communism in all of Chinese history. Want to know why? He was interred and tortured. He was ripped away from his family and tortured in Maoist internment camps as a child. 25% of a population on average is susceptible to hypnotism. Those tend to be, unfortunately, guys down here. 25% of people, and I know that's not necessarily how the bell curve works, like all the way over here is like 1.25, all the way over here is like 1.25% of the population, but don't worry about it, This percent of the population is very susceptible to hypnotism. This part of the population cannot be hypnotized. And this part of the population is hypnotized if they're convinced enough. And they're wanting to believe it already. You see? So, like, Dude Weed on Kiwi Farms is easily hypnotized. That's why he can hop from thing to thing to thing to thing as a true believer. A lot of the MK Ultra people also started with an easily hypnotized population. Kamala Harris, probably an easily hypnotized girl. This is her mother working at the MK Ultra program in the CIA. So, Xi, Emperor Xi, whether you call him president, emperor, or chairman, it tells a lot about you. Because if you say Chairman Xi, you're either like a tanky LARPer, which I hate. I hate Marxists. I really, really, truly do. And as an Irish person, I have enough, like, I've seen Marxists just insult the hell, even Matt Christman, just insult the hell out of Irish people. And I wondered that for a long time. Why? Why do you hate us? Oh, because James Connolly didn't get his way. Because the Troubles did not yield the fruit that you tried to sow into our fields. Because we stayed a nation and we didn't turn into an international hub of communism to be destroyed by the forces that were weaponized against communism in this alchemical seesaw of dissolving all of culture and people and history. Irish people didn't do that. You tried. James Connolly broke away from the Wolftonist IRA. He tried, but he failed. And there's 4 ads to prove of it. Anyways, yeah, Xi, not easily hypnotized. Xi, there's where Emperor Xi's at. Okay? So, he's got knowledge, he's got wisdom, he's got a bone to pick. And he's been picking it, and I love it. I love it. There's no more pragmatic people on earth than the Confucius Chinese. And guess what? When Xi was in power, when he first took power, no religion was illegal because it was a communist state. Emperor Xi legalized the 3 religions of China. He legalized Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. Isn't that great? It's no longer a communist country. The communism has been pushed back to the Yuan, the Xi'an, these, the Calm Plateau, all these like hinterlands, which is very rich land in China, but still, pushing them back. Because ultimately, it's true. The more you look at it, the more it rings true. Communists are insane, stupid, petty people. And the society they creates more insane, stupid, and petty people. And that's that. And the current game plan seems to have some neocons that were communist 40 years ago wage war on China as it sheds its Maoist skin because they're Bolsheviks. Yeah. I've also seen people gaining more and more respect for Islam in America recently. Why shouldn't they? The Middle East has gone from Weimar to Holocaust recently, and it was perpetrated by pedophiles and rapists with our people's hard-toiled money. Call everyone who doesn't worship you a leftists. Please do that, Zionist. Please help me defeat the 2D left-right autism spectrum once and for all, and God will replace it with wisdom, inshallah. Inshallah, Habibi. I push my cousin butt cheek into Lizzie Lohan. We go in Ferrari, go down casino. I get comped. I platinum. Oh, Habibi, I platinum. I get comped. Gotta love Nick Rochefort. He is so funny. I just wish I was as good at accents. I feel like he's been training his accents for 40 years. I trained my accents a little bit, dropped out of social interaction for 10 years, and that really does suck. There is a social IQ, there's an emotional IQ, there's an intelligent IQ, and then there's the international IQ, and there's a mechanical IQ. There's all sorts of different IQs that can be that's a 2D line that then you have to juxtapose with what you're dealing with, and that turns it into something real and an actual real. Just like how Christianity is pragmatic and Jesus Christ and Christianity is found in reality, whereas a lot of religions you see, Krishna and Kali and Zeus and stuff like that, that's not found anywhere in reality. It's hyper mystic or, ultra literal in the case of sola scriptura Calvinism. Ultra literal, no mysticism, no beauty. Gotta find the balance. That's where everything lies. In that cross. Amen. Inshallah is just amen, so. In God's name. No man is complete without a podcast and a project they keep putting off while making significantly smaller strides in tackling than they advertise. But I really do want to just cut it and drop the Kiwi list soon. I'm sorry, I know yesterday was supposed to be my deadline. I've spent about 100 hours in the last 2 weeks at a medical facility. I apologize. It wasn't planned, and it will be resolved very soon. Things are going very, very well, and we'll have our homecoming in about a month or so. Okay. Interview with Judas Chu is coming very soon, God willing. So at least I can offer that in the meanwhile. 1,000 pardons, Sneeders. 1,000 pardons, Sneeders. 1,000 pardons, Sneeders. Uh, 50% tariff on our state's biggest trading partner? So be it. I'd rather have that than the pedophile Bolsonaro burning down the forest and turning Brazil into another one of the dozen Latin American puppet dictatorships. So be it. These, I'm willing to give them up. Even if it makes my hair fall out. So be it. Want to know why ancient people were obsessed with gold? This is super fun. It's because the electrons rotating around the element move close to the speed of light. And that's exactly why it's so useful in electronics. And it causes it to glow with an otherworldly luster, like the sun. Want to know what golden is in Latin? Orata. likely where the word aura is derived from, or at least cognate with a root. Celts were obsessed with gold, making torques and trinkets. Oh god, I want to get a girl that I love a golden bangle. Anyways. They consider themselves a solar race of people. But that's essentially it. Beauty has always been associated with genuine value. We got our value systems all twisted up and have had ugly freaks leading us to damnation. Well, no more. Change it or let it break. Either or. I really appreciate it when Jews have the decency and honesty to actually practice the religion they claim. It's one thing to outline ethnic lineages. It's another to claim the religion, claim all Jewish ethnicities under the umbrella of Judaism, and then practice it like no Jew has ever practiced it before. Except for maybe the Frankists in Poland. Instead, practicing akin to a Satanist, which you see a lot of them doing these days. Psychologically weak people often say things akin to, I get stuff right all the time. How can I have done this wrong? Which obviously is folly. To that, I would say, I don't deny you get things right all the time. If you didn't, you would be panhandling on the side of the road. But don't sweep this issue under the rug, because there's still time enough for you to fall from whatever graces you've worked towards. Real talk. Funny little fact that was word shocked on the old Kiwi farms, before Knowles sold out to rapists. A big qualifier for being white, in the colloquial sense, white, I know. Let's just humor the concept, shall we? Because there is a basis there that actually, from the Turks to the Iranians to the Germans to the Tibetans, there's a basis there that's been worked out a little bit. So, it's having pink nipples. In the colloquial sense, a qualifier of being white is having pink nipples. Strange, right? Well, it seems to be the only people that have pink nipples are Indo-Europeans. They have that melanin-free mutation. Hell, I noticed a Korean karate guy had pink nipples once. It's just something that caught my eye around the same time this conversation was happening. You know, noticing patterns. I wasn't deliberately looking for it now. Which for me confirms that Finno-Ugric, Pan-Russia, the inhabitants of the 10,000-mile road North Koreans sing about from Korea to Finland, are white people. Thing about it is, aesthetically, big nipples are embarrassing on men. Truly, I distinctly remember. That feeling of inadequacy and not wanting to take my shirt off when others would here in Florida, walking home, exercising at the pool, etc., etc. However, on women, it is the far more aesthetically pleasing variety, and everyone on the planet knows this. But the caveat remains. White women have to breed with white men in order to create more white people. So rich brown men like Tiger Woods have to essentially poach our women in order to enjoy the fruits of our labor, which has always been a feature. Think Conan slinging a woman over his shoulder. He used his power to take the woman, cross-integrate his, I assume, Turkish blood into hers. A tale genuinely as old as time. So old as archetypal. As a barbarian archetypal. White women being the most beautiful is, I think, the biggest driving motivator towards our progression of science and warfare from pagans to Protestants in the North. And a source of the psychosis of face-blind racism that permeates our society when not tempered with a sort of societal education that tells our women they needn't find anything better than a Christian European, and our men that the best offense truly is a good defense. Switzerland, a prime example of this. I also think it's absolutely hilarious that our acting FBI director, Cockeyed Cash, got honey-trapped with Bob's and Vagine. Alright, y'all. That's good for today. Hope y'all get a chuckle out of this one. Take care. Much love. Interview coming soon. Tier list coming as soon as possible. We'll get it out for you. We as in me doing it all on my own. But I'm passionate about this particular project. It is a passion project, and I want to make sure it's not sloppy. Alright, y'all. Cheers.